Okay. I know a lot of you guys are just getting into Bitcoin. You don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about Bitcoin climbing the mountain. I'm going to show you in charts exactly what I'm talking about, and then you'll be able to predict the price of Bitcoin much more effectively. Uh, the thing is Bitcoin is following a pattern. It's been doing so for a very long time now, almost going back to its beginnings. So we're going to get right into these charts, and when I'm done, you'll realize that I'm not just talking a bunch of gobbledygook. This is actually a lot to this. Okay, so the first chart, what we see is back in 2010, the 7th month, the 19th day, Bitcoin was 9 cents. It had climbed a mountain to 9 cents. That was an incredibly high price for Bitcoin. People that had Bitcoin, who had a lot of Bitcoin, thought that was incredibly good for the price of Bitcoin. And I'm sure a lot of them sold at those prices, because they thought 9 cents was wonderful to get 9 cents for a Bitcoin. Um, so that's back in the days when a guy bought a pizza. I think he spent 10,000 Bitcoins for a pizza. Okay, so that's the first chart way back in 2010. Now, I wasn't into Bitcoin yet. I wish I had been. I really do, but I wasn't in yet. And a lot of people that were in, they did really good. $20 worth of Bitcoin would have made you $1,000,000 sort of thing. I mean, this was incredible back then. But that's when she started. That was the first mountain right there. See it? It climbed the mountain. And what did it do? It come back down. So let's see where it come back down to. It come back down to uh, 5 cents. So it lost almost half of its value when it come back down to 5 cents. It lost almost half of its value. And it went along at around those prices, 5, 6 cents, for quite a little while, 5 or 6 cents for a long time there, all the way through like it was June, July, August, September, along in there. It was traveling along at that price. And then what did it do? It started climbing the mountain again. It started climbing around October of that year. October, and it climbed all the way up to an unbelievable price. 36 cents. Can you imagine? That's like it tripled or 4 times the price it was. It went up like 4 times to 36 cents. An amazingly high price for Bitcoin. It climbed the mountain all the way up. But then what did it do? It fell again. It fell back down the mountain. It comes back down. It always falls back down. But you notice what it does? It never comes back down as low as it was before. So when it fell back down this time, what did it come down to? It on the 2010, the 12th month, the 10th day, it fell back down to 19 cents. From its incredibly high price, it fell back down to 19 cents. And so you notice it went along, it tumbled along, bottom bouncing for a long time again, all during November, December. It was bottom bouncing for months. Okay, and then what did it do? Then we see it climb the mountain again. Starting in January of that year of 2011, it climbed all the way up to the unbelievable price. It finally broke $1, over $1 per Bitcoin when it peaked. But you notice it did the exact same pattern. It climbed up the mountain again, and then it come back down. It come back down again. And it bottom bounced for a long time. It had to make bottoms. You notice what it's doing? It's following that same pattern. So then we see what it does is it bottom bounces along here, and all of during February and March and April, and in around April it made its bottom at 67 cents. So it lost about half of its value again. You notice that? Notice that very carefully. It lost about half of its value. So then what did it do again? Well, it climbed the mountain again. Starting in May, it started to climb the mountain, and on the 11th month and the 6th in 2011, on the 6th month and the 9th day, this is when it finally really started to get pricey for Bitcoin. $29.58. It climbed all the way up to $29.58. But then what did it do? The exact same thing. it come back down the mountain again. And then it bottom bounced for months. It bottom bounced, it come all the way back down. That made a bottom around November of 2011. And November, December, January, February, March, April, it was drifting along. And then what did it do? It started to climb the mountain again, and it made its bottom at 2011, the 10th to 19th at $2.28. So you notice this time it went up really a lot higher. It went up to almost $30, but you notice when it come back down, it come all the way back down to $2.28. But it never comes back down as low as it was previously. That's the pattern it's doing. It never comes back down to the previous low it was before it climbed the mountain. So now the low is $2.28. So then what did it do? The exact same thing again. In 2013, she climbed the mountain again, and this time it made it all the way up to $2.13. $213.72 in 2013. And this is when I get in. I bought in around that price, and that's where I started to buy in. And I was dubious of it. I thought it was back then I thought it was a Ponzi scheme, but I just wanted to have one or two. And they were kind of pricey. They were over $200 a piece. You know what I mean? And I bought in. That's when I first bought in, around 2013, the 4th month. And I wanted to have one or two, and I thought it was a Ponzi scheme. I really should have bought more, but I just bought one or two, and I was dabbling in it. So that's when she climbed the mountain again, right there. And you notice she does exactly the same thing. Now, how many times have we counted this doing this? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5th mountain that's climbed here. In 2013. And so what did we find at the bottom? At the bottom of that mountain, when it climbed all the way up to $200 and something dollars, it went all the way back down to $65.39. But you notice that's the bottom now. The bottom now is $65.39. You notice that? And you notice that it spiked down to that bottom, and then it bounced back up again. It bounced back up to $150. You notice that? So it wasn't staying at that bottom for very long. It was a spike down. And this is the kind of bottoms you form when you get a really high peak. You get that spike down toward a bottom, and it's like a crash. So this one right here is one of these mountains, another one of these mountains, and this is the mountain I get in on. Okay, so now let's move on to the next frame. This is the big one. This was the first big mountain it climbed. In 2013, the 11th month, the 29th day, it made a peak of $1,132.26. Now, this was the last previous mountain before the mountain we're on right now. Okay, and this mountain, this last previous mountain, is probably the one that's going to give you the best idea what it's going to do on this following mountain, the one that we're climbing right now. Okay, so it peaked at 1132.26, and what was the bottom that it dropped down to? It dropped down to a bottom of 198.59. Okay, so it went down from $1,100 to 198.59. That is a pretty big drop. From $1,100 all the way down to $198. That's a pretty big drop. And so now you're getting an idea. And it was a long time. It bottom bounced for September 2014, November 2014, January 2015, February, March, April, May, June, July 2015, September 2015. It was bottom bouncing all along in there before it finally started to climb the mountain again. So now in this last frame, we're where we are today. It's climbing the mountain. And this frame shows it on 2017, the 5th of 11th, it made a peak of 1825. But we know now it's still climbing. It's still climbing this mountain. We haven't hit the peak of this mountain yet. Uh, Gosh only knows what the peak, exactly what the peak will be. It's anyone's guess. I don't know for sure what the peak would be. I have guessed at 22 to 2400. That's my guess. That's only a guess. It could go to 3000. Or we could be near the peak right now. It might not make it over 2000. Um, you got to be careful because when she gets near the peak, that's when she's going to come down. Not it's because it's going to repeat this same pattern. It makes a mountain, it peaks, and then it comes back down again. Uh, I'm saying at this time, probably I'm thinking the peak is going to be around 22 to 2400, and I'm thinking that it's going to come all the way back down to around 600. But now these are just my guesses. I don't know for sure. But you can see now that it's following this pattern of climbing the mountain, coming back down, bottom bouncing for a while, and getting ready to make its next mountain. So when it completes this mountain, it'll come back down and then it'll bottom bounce probably for a year, maybe 2 years, give you a chance to buy in, and then she'll make the next mountain. But the next mountain's going to be exponentially larger than this one. If this one right here took us up to 1900 or higher, the next mountain's probably going to take us up into multiple thousands of dollars or higher. This is a game where you have to be careful and you have to know when to buy in and know when to sell. Uh, it's doing this repeating pattern over and over again now, and now you know as much about the pattern as I do. So now you can use this information to help you know when to purchase bitcoins and know when to purchase cryptocurrencies. You don't buy in at the top of the mountain. You buy in at the bottom when she's bottom bouncing. This is when you buy in. Thank you very much for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next article. Bye.